All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another special presentation of the SWBL Podcast Captain Interviews. My name is Skibbe, Commissioner of the SWBL, and it is my pleasure to be joined by two of the defending champion SWBL Expos. They consider themselves co-captains of this storied franchise. Please welcome Kevin Wiethuchter and John Leicht. Kevin and John, how are we doing today?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm doing good, Sam. One clarification point. I think Kevin's the team captain and I'm assistant to the team captain.
Kind of works out that, it seems like a lot of teams that go with that co-captain style, it's pretty much like you said. There's always the face of the franchise, and there's always that assistant to the. So yes,
1A, 1B if you want.
Yes, yeah. But I thank you guys for joining us, and this is our fourth captain interview so far, and these are getting released in the month of April. So we've got the schedule released, we've got the draft done. I know you guys haven't changed up your roster too much, but we've always been starting these captain interviews with obviously going through your roster, but you guys being the defending champs, obviously there aren't much changes. And first, let's talk about that, because last year was an unprecedented run for your franchise, and going from a team that has never been above 500 ever to going 6-4 last season, making a wild card spot and winning 3 playoff games. Only the second team in the history of the SWBL to win 3 playoff games. And it happened in back-to-back years between the Yankees and you guys in 2019 and 2020. And I want to kind of pinpoint one thing. And Kevin, this first question will be to you, but you guys were 3-4, 7 games into the season. And the remaining schedule for you guys in the regular season was the Rockies, the Twins, and the Braves. Now, you can look at those 3 teams as being 3 of the top teams in our league last year. And was there any, thought in your team's mind that, oh, well, let's just try to get 4 or 5 and make a run? Did you ever think that you would win all 3, have the best record, and then get that far? Like, what was the mindset of the team when you had an under 500 record and then those 3 teams are the rest of your schedule?
I think we still had confidence. Obviously, Saturday, we were all maybe a little bit overserved. So we lost a few key games that day. But once we were able to take down the Rockies, I think we felt pretty good about it.
Yeah, once you go to that 500 spot, you take down a perennial playoff team like the Rockies, and then you have the Twins and the Braves on top, and you continued your dominance. And obviously, John, we can look at the continued improvement on the mound by Jimmy Nelson, and obviously a huge push, obviously, and we'll talk about this in a second, but a huge push in the offseason, bringing Brett Spencer to your team. And it brings a different mentality to your team, having somebody who is that storied in our league. But Jimmy Nelson has been getting better and better on the mound every single year. And he hit his max 30 innings for you guys. And I'm sure he's going to hit his max 30 innings again. But what was the difference, between Saturday and Sunday and into Monday with Jimmy, pitching? He pitched in 5 out of those 6 games in that 6-game winning streak. The only game that Brett pitched was the one against us, the Braves. And he pitched, I think, the best pitching performance of the entire weekend for Brett that game. So getting 6 pitching performances like you did, talk about your rotation and the return, obviously, this year coming with Jimmy and Brett.
Jimmy gets a lot of headlines, rightfully so. And so I don't want to knock Jimmy, but I mean, Brett gets overlooked because of that. And it's kind of silly to say that in this league, Brett Spencer gets overlooked. Think about how dumb that sounds.
Yeah.
To go back to your first question and build on it for this one, I mean, at 3-4, I think we were pretty pissed off. I think the entire team was, and especially Jimmy. And that he's got a bit of a fiery personality. And, that kind of, he really helped set the mindset that going into that Rockies game, a team we'd beaten before, that we're not happy about it, and we gotta make some things up. And that's kind of how that started. And it did start obviously with the rotation and having arguably 2 of the top 3 or 4 pitchers in the league is a nice benefit to have.
Yeah, and you guys had the second best stat when it came to runs allowed in the SWBL season 18, and you had the second worst runs scored. So you guys proved for pretty much the first time that this can be a pitching league, and you can win just from pitching, and this rotation proved it. Kevin, talk about your lineup and your rotation coming into this year, you guys kind of fell into the same lineup every single time. You know, you had John in right field, you had Brett in left field, and you had Jimmy pitching in the playoffs. And I assume that's going to be kind of your mindset going into season 19 as well. And then you had your 4 batters. You had the hitting of Brett and Jimmy and Evan Close and Matt Germer. But, you know, John, obviously, I know you're going to give him some at bats as well. I'm sure you'll get into a game or two, Kev, if you can. And then also you have Matt Egerstrom returning. So what's going to be kind of the lineup heading into 2021 this year?
I think we'll probably start with our lineup from last year, the same 4, maybe mix things, you know, up here and there, sub out, you know, Egerstrom for Germer, maybe in a game or something. But when we started getting on that run was last year, when I felt like I committed to that same rotation, batting rotation, and, you know, having John and Brett out in the field and Jimmy on the mound. Yep. It seemed to work out well. But like you mentioned, though, we do need to step up our offensive game quite a bit. Sure. And score some runs this year.
Yeah, it's hard to think, John, that, you know, you guys made an incredible run last year, but it's hard to think that you can go back-to-back championships with the same offense. It's just hard because this is an offensive league, and you got to believe that people are going to eventually catch up and understand Jimmy's knuckleball a little bit better each time they face it. So your offense really has to kind of get a jump start. But let's talk about your fielding real quick, John, because your guys' fielding historically has been bottom of the league, but something happened on Sunday and Monday for you guys where you and Brett out there just clicked and nothing could get by you guys, and famously ending the entire season in the finals on a double play that was caused with Brett. And then you were in the right place perfectly and a dart from Brett to you with a nice catch. Like, you guys made fantastic plays. Like, talk about the mindset of you guys changing from historically bad fielding team to all of a sudden finding what works and, you know, contending for possibly gold hands in the future for you guys.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you pointing that out, because I think a lot of the talk at the end of last season was pitching. And I think that the defense actually did play a role throughout the season. I mean, we played well, and I know we made a bunch of plays Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And that is probably out of necessity. In other words, it's really cool if you have the 2 top pitchers or 2 of the top pitchers in the league, but if you're going to waste it with crap defense behind them, then, you know, what good is it? So we knew that, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. And we had to play good defense behind the aces.
Yeah. And you guys, I can't congratulate you guys enough. You know, it was almost shocking, you know, seeing you guys hold up the trophy last year. And I say that with all respect, because it was such an amazing run to see that any team can truly win this league if you have the right pieces and you build something special. So John, I'll go back to you real quick, because, you know, we talk about how Kevin, you know, is 1A for manager, and Kevin was actually nominated for the National Manager of the Year award, like a National Wiffle Manager of the Year. It was a big deal. Like, there was one of 4 managers in the entire country on teams, and Kevin was one of them, you know, being nominated.
I have a thought on that here later
and, you know, taking your team from historically under 500, the best record you've ever had is 4-6, getting Brett Spencer in the offseason to come over and then pushing the right buttons. You know, what can you say about Kevin as your manager, John, you know, pushing the right buttons? And there's that famous picture on your championship picture of Kevin holding the clipboard and looking very serious, you know, going through and trying to find what's best. But what can you talk about with Kevin and the mindset he had all weekend?
Kevin is a great listener. And that is probably one of his best traits as a manager. He doesn't just listen to me. Obviously, getting Brett's opinion in on matters was super helpful this year. I mean, that was invaluable to have, you know, a 17-year veteran of this league also helping make decisions in a cohort. And you know, Jimmy's a pretty vocal guy, and Kevin listens to Jimmy, and of course, you know, Germer's been around for a while now. He's got opinions, and Evan too, and Kevin does a really nice job of listening to that. One quick example, you know, I didn't hit in the playoffs, and that was kind of a team decision. Had I said to Kevin, I want to hit, probably would have given me a crack at it. But, you know, we as a team kind of got together and said, this is probably for the best. And I wish I had been hitting, but I was part of the decision to not do that. And Kevin listened to the entire team, and we made that as a group. So, kudos to him for getting everyone's input and making those kinds of decisions.
It's probably an amazing lesson for all the other teams that possibly are watching that, sometimes it's not about the ego and sometimes it's about, doing what's best for the team. So it's awesome that the Expos came together and did that and it worked out. So congratulations on your champions for 2020. But, let's kind of bring it. I want to first, welcome our new sponsorship to our sponsorship family from Leicht. We thank Leicht. Leicht simplifies logistics when you need freight moved with reliability. You can visit them at logexinc.com. That's logexinc.com. So thank you for being our media sponsor for this year coming up, Leicht. We really appreciate it. Welcome to our sponsorship family. Let's go on to this year, guys. You guys got the target on your back. I mean, you guys got to believe it. The front office has consistently given the champion kind of that number one spot. In the past 5 years, there's only been one time where it's been a different person than the champion in the preseason power rankings. So you could think that the curse might fall on you guys if you are preseason ranked number one. But let's look at and break down your division this year. I know Jimmy and Blake were very vocal during the division draw, Kevin. Jimmy was really excited that he got the Rockies, in the second tier from you guys. You guys were a first tier team. Obviously, you got the Glendale, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram division. And then the Rockies were your second pick, and Jimmy was really excited. And then Jimmy was very unexcited when the Astros were pulled as your tier 3 team, and arguably the best tier 3 team that we've had in a very long time. The Astros made some fantastic moves in the offseason, and Ben Ware now possibly going for that, Manager of the Year award too, that the nationally recognized as well, adding John Callaway and having their best roster that they've had. But Kevin, talk about kind of your mindset with the team and the team's mindset going into this, where you have the defending champs, the team who has never missed the playoffs in the Rockies, and the Astros, which are arguably kind of the most improved team on paper in the offseason. Talk about your division and what's it going to take to win this division.
I think we always look forward to playing the Rockies, especially with, signing Brett from their team. He's been on that so long. So now having him on our team, we really enjoy playing them. And I noticed that a lot of the times when Jimmy's pitching against the Rockies, BK and Breida have a lot of trouble hitting him. So
yes, they do.
It's always a fun matchup to watch that. And then as far as the Astros, I mean, we're going to have to see how they're playing and kind of figure them out as the year goes along, just because they've added new pieces, like you said. And I think we went 0-2 against them last year, possibly.
Yeah, and actually they beat you by a combined score of 23-2. So if any team had your number, it was them, and they only got better in the offseason. So, I mean, you're going to play them twice again.
We did. I think that last regular season game we won was knocked them out of the playoffs last year. So that felt pretty good.
Yeah.
Spot. And I know we have a meme that we send around in the Expos team of Cam falling to his knees. He realized they lost, or they're making the playoffs.
Oh, don't give Cam any more ammo.
There was that is a very famous scene. You can watch that game. It was actually you guys against the Twins, the last game on Sunday. And that was, you're right. That was the time with the Astros all stuck around, and I let them stick around if they were off to the side and watch that game, because that decided if they were going to have a chance at the playoffs again. And their next game on Monday was the Marlins. So they were like, okay, if they give us a chance here, if the Twins win, we can make playoffs. But it's amazing how you guys just continued to win and win and win throughout your time and stuck within your mindset and pulled it off. And so, John, talk about your division again. And like I said, the Astros going 23-2 against you in 2 games last year. You're playing the Rockies twice and the Astros twice. For you guys to defend your title, do you think you're going to have to go 4-0 or 3-1 against your division? Or do you think it's going to be a dogfight where you're just going to beat up on each other and possibly only one person is going to come out of that division?
No, to answer your second question, no, this division will have at least 2 people in the playoffs, 2 teams in the playoffs. it's whatever it is, March 21st, like count it. That's going to happen. It's funny, like I didn't need you to do a division draw to know that we were going to get the Astros in our division. Like that was just like, there is not a scenario that happened. You could draw that thing 50 times and 50
fate
times
happens, right?
Going to put the Astros because that's what the people want to see.
Yeah.
We acknowledge that. I'm curious what the Astros thought is. Did they want us in their division or did they not? I suspect they probably did. So they probably are looking at that and they're probably pretty happy. They're good. They were good last year. Benware, hats off. He does as phenomenal of a job as a manager as anyone in this league not named Kevin. And it's going to be tough. We split with them 1-1. I would tend to take that as the, a win.
Yeah. And, talk about the other divisions too. These other divisions have the Athletics and the Marlins in them. So the Cardinal Blinds and Shutters division, you have the Royals, the Twins, and the Athletics. And the Athletics are in a rebuilding year without Mike Carl and obviously Luke Bakula going to the Marlins. So they're in kind of a rebuilding year as they go along. So the Royals and the Twins kind of they have to go 2-0 against that Athletics team, obviously. And then we'll see what happens between the Royals and Twins. And then the other way, the Brewers, Yankees, and Marlins in the Ketting Ice Center division, actually a really interesting division as well. The Brewers coming off a second place finish, the Yankees coming off of their first ever under 500 year. And then the Marlins have a chip on their shoulder with 0-10. And I know you guys have some connections, obviously, or John, you have a bunch of connections in the Ketting Ice Center division with your brother-in-law in that division as well. But let's talk about the Ketting Ice Center division. John, do you have any pick from the Brewers, Yankees, Marlins? Are the Marlins going to go 0-10 again? Are they going to find a win this year? Who's going to win that division? Brewers, Yankees, Marlins. What do you guys say about the Ketting Ice Center division?
Yeah, it's tough. It's what is it? An odd number year. So I guess the Yankees should win the division. I tend to think that the Brewers are a good team. Obviously, and a little bias there. So I'll go with the Brewers, but if the Yankees win, I certainly wouldn't be shocked. Are the Marlins going to go 0-10? Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. And Kevin, we'll talk about the Cardinal Blinds and Shutters division with you. And, these are three teams that have been around for a long time. The Royals are returning, Ty Butler coming back for the Royals, which is going to be a huge get for them. And they signed, we signed Austin Steffes, who the last time Austin played, he was an all-star for the Diamondbacks. But you think about the Royals team, but then you also think about this Twins team, and on paper, the Twins really are, they have 5 players, and 1 through 5, they are the only team in the history, or not history, but the only team this year in the top 19 countdown where every single one of their players made it into the top 19 countdown, and they have 5. So, and then the Athletics obviously rebuilding, but who'd be your pick to win the Cardinal Blinds and Shutters division, Kevin, knowing that the Royals are coming back to somewhat full strength, and then you have the Twins who have maybe the best team on paper?
I think the Royals would probably, have the best chance in that division, just with you and Gus pitching, and you guys, being around for so long. You played more wiffle ball than pretty much everybody else in the league. But I mean, obviously, like you said, you pointed out how all the Twins players are ranked, and they obviously have some good pieces on their team, but they seems like sometimes they just can't put it all together to make a run.
In the past with the Rays, it was like Chris Metter couldn't lose in the playoffs. And now, with the Twins, they won in 2016 with the Phillies and then 2018 as well. But that was with Tyler Flackney in 2016 and then Jimmy Cole in 2018. So now they got to put it together with their local talent as well. But Corey McCarthy, nothing to snuff about, and having Will as their ace on the mound. But back-to-back MVP Spencer Bogad, so you can't really, turn the other cheek with them. Thanks again to all of our division sponsors, Cardinal Blinds and Shutters, Glendale Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and Ketting Ice Center, for coming back again with our 3 divisions that we have. Division draw was awesome. It worked out, like you said, John, almost to a T, where it's like, these are great divisions to watch. And it's going to be a really fun year to see this play out. But let's talk about, John, I have a question for you. And I've been asking a lot of the people in all these little captain interviews, but you can't include you or Kevin in this, John. Okay. So you can't include you or Kevin, but I want you to take your roster, and who are you going to trade? Who are you going to bench? and who are you going to start over everybody else? So you got trade, bench, and start, kind of like that Mary kill scenario, you know, but now we're going to do it with wiffle ball. So out of the people on your roster, you can't choose yourself. You can't choose Kevin. No hard feelings, obviously, to any of your teammates. Everybody's been doing it. As an example, Gus picked myself to start, and he picked myself to trade. He was going to trade me for Brett right before playoffs. So like, you kind of do something like that too. So think about your roster, everybody on your roster. You can start, bench, and trade. Who do you got?
Yeah, so I don't like this game. I mean, part of being an expo is, you know, we all tend to build each other up, and there's not a lot of negative talk. So I'm going to cop out. Like, before I answer, just admit this is a total cop out, right? Okay. So I'll definitely bench and trade Oldenburg, since I don't think he's coming back anyway. And then to start, I mean, now I got to pick amongst, you know, a bunch of good guys, but
you can only start one.
Let's put Germer out in left field. That would be what I would do. I've got a lot of confidence in him as a wiffle ball player, and obviously he can hit, and he does not play the field a whole lot. And I suspect he probably wants to, but with the big roster, everyone's kind of, you know, got to get in where they fit in. So I would say Germer and left.
You know, I kind of agree with that, John. You know, I think Germer could be an underrated fielder in our league. And, you know, I've seen him play softball in the outfield. You know, he's a good softball player out there. And I think that, you know, I know Brett wants to play left field. He's got the experience and with you and right. But, you know, if Brett's pitching, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, having somebody like Germer out there take the reins for left field even and fill in for Brett when he's pitching. So, yeah, I like that. And Kevin, let's go back to you with a different question. And Kevin, you got to look at the schedule. The schedule's been released. You know, you're kind of looking at the schedule. Usually a captain can always look at that. And you guys have actually been my example in all these captain interviews. You guys, after that Astros game, you had the Rockies game. And it's like, once you won that Rockies game, it catapulted you to the championship. So what is a game on your schedule that you've seen that you have circled as, okay, this is the game. This is an important game that we need to win, or we need to be super competitive in. What's that game for you guys this year, Kev?
Looking at it, I think the 8 a.m. Saturday morning is our first matchup against the Rockies, which, you know, we're definitely looking forward to, kind of getting that win with Jimmy on the mound and setting a precedent for the rest of the weekend.
So this is actually, I'm gonna correct you only because there could be a reason for two, but this is actually your second game against the Rockies, because you actually play them on opening day also. So, but in my opinion, I think that the second game against the Rockies could be even more important. So like, you know, your 8 a.m. game, that's setting the precedence for your entire day on Saturday. So, and like you were just saying too, like having Jimmy on the mound to set the tone for your day, because you still got 3 games after that, you know, that you got to play. So I completely agree. I think the Rockies series is going to be very fun to watch for you guys. Actually, that whole Glendale, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram division, I feel like, you know, it could be a split 3 ways. And then I also feel like that your division could dominate in interleague. I feel like you all have the capabilities of beating those other teams in interleague play too. All right, guys, thank you so much for going through that. Our next segment that we're going to do is actually a rapid fire round. So I have 10 questions for you guys, and this is brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. What better way to cool you down after a rapid fire round than a nice custard from Andy's Frozen Custard? So thank you, Andy's Frozen Custard, for being back in our sponsorship family. You know, we are going to start with Kevin every time, and then we're going to do John. And this is going to be rapid fire, guys. First thing that comes to your head, say an answer, little to no explanation. Let the viewers kind of think about why you said those things in their own heads. So we'll always start with Kevin, and then John, you'll answer right after that. It'll be the same questions back to back. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Let's do it. Here we go. Kevin, you'll always start. John, you'll answer right after Kevin. First question's kind of a little softball question, maybe a little thing just to get to know you guys a little bit more about when you were younger. But did you guys have any like stuffed animal as a baby, or something that was your comfort item? What was your comfort item when you were younger as a baby? Kev, we'll start with you.
I don't know that stuffed animal, but I always had a blankie.
Nice. Did it have a name?
No.
Okay. John, what about you?
I don't think I did. Maybe Peter remembers better than I do. I don't think I did.
All right. No stuffed animal for John. All right. Top of your head. Who is the most underrated player in the SWBL? Kev?
I'll stick with the Expos and go with Matt Germer.
All right, John.
Since Germer's taken, I'll go Derek Cornell.
Derek Cornell. I like that pick. Best SWBL rivalry. It can be current or past. Kevin?
Expos and Rockies.
Nice. John?
Expos Astros.
Nice. Both Expos and both big rivalries indeed, especially in the Glendale Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram division. Who will be the 2021 SWBL home run leader, Kev?
Gus.
John?
Gus.
Gus hasn't actually led in home runs in a very long time, but I feel like he could every year. He just chooses to hit it the other way with singles. Like, I feel like he's got the power to do it.
I know you don't want to get off topic, and I'll be quick, but like the fact that he didn't win MVP last year because he kind of slowed down in the second half I felt bad for him because he was playing so well, and it was a lot of fun to watch him do that.
He definitely was the number one going into late Sunday, and all of a sudden he just lost it the last 3 games of the year. So anyway, all right, who will have, and this might be an interesting question too because you got 2 of them on your team that'll contend for this, but who will have the lowest ERA in season 19?
Jimmy.
All right. I tend to think Brett. I swear, I think he is becoming an underrated pitcher, and he's pitched so good at the end. So, all right, who will be the Expos team MVP for any reason?
Brett.
Yeah, Brett, because he does it all.
All right. If you could trade for any player in the SWBL, who would it be?
Probably you.
Peter.
Oh, I like that. Peter the Expos would be a fun addition for sure. If you could draft any non-baseball professional athlete to the Expos, who would it be? Linus Kleza, Kareem Rush.
No. Michael Jordan. Does that count?
Michael Jordan counts. All right, John.
He did baseball, but
John Daly.
John Daly. And will this season have an 0-10 team? I know John already alluded to this, but will this season have an 0-10 team?
Yep, Marlins.
Sorry, Luke. Marlins.
You guys are the only people that have actually said the actual team that he wanted to be. So I like that, though, getting this Mac talk done early. And your 2021 SWBL champions will be who?
Expos. Back-to-back.
Back-to-back championships. We have not had back-to-back champions since the SWBL Rays at the very start of this. And there actually has been, you can look at, there's been a new champion for the past 4 years. So somebody new has won for the past 4 years. So going back to back would definitely be an awesome feat for you guys. All right, let's go on to the last question. Thank you so much for doing the Andy's frozen custard rapid fire round. But this last question is going to kind of wrap it up for us, guys. And I thank you so much for being here. But what do you think is the best feature about the Blur where we play in St. Louis, and or like what's the best thing about the SWBL weekend in general? What's the best part of being at the Blur during an SWBL weekend? So Kev, we'll start with you.
Yeah,
I think being able to, obviously last year we weren't able to gather with as many of us as in years past. Hopefully it's a little bit better this year, and we can kind of. Because just sitting there, Saturday, Sunday, kind of hanging out all day.
Sure.
With the team around you, all the other teams kind of in their little area that they choose to sit in. So, yeah, it's just fun, watching all the games and getting to interact with all the other teams, and, just having a random conversation with somebody that you don't normally talk to that often, like during the year. It's just a good experience to be there with everybody playing.
And this is going to be, a little bit better of a year. Obviously, there's going to be still some questions when we get closer, what we're going to do with the fans and families. But we are this year going to have, where teams can stay the whole weekend and stay the whole time, because it's such a huge part of our weekend. And we still want people to, semi-social distance a little bit still. If people are vaccinated up and everybody's vaccinated, then you can be a little more comfortable with each other. We'll still have masks, maybe in our pockets just in case kind of thing. But, we're still going to have the people, but we're still deciding on family, friends, all that kind of stuff. But, John, what about you? What's the best feature at the Blur, or the best thing about SWBL weekend?
It's the pool for the same reasons that Kevin said, and realizing that may not be open this year, which,
sure.
If it isn't, that's understandable. But eventually it will be, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's the pool.
This season, pool and porta potty are kind of like a little bit, probably on the no side this year again, just depending on, because it's just so many people, are in the pool, or, so obviously with all the questions about, lingering on the toilet or the feces of other people with this virus. But, I will say that, season 20 next year, guys, is just going to be an amazing party. Like to be at the Blur for season 20 next year is going to be, hopefully all this is past us. Everybody's vaccinated. Everything's back to normal somewhat. And we can have the pool open. It's just going to be kind of that pent up energy is just going to come out for an amazing season 20. But we can't skip over season 19 because it's going to be an excellent one on the field for these players and these franchises. All right, guys, anything else you want to say to the people before we go? It could be about Expos baseball. It could be about anything you want to say. Kev, anything you want to say?
Back-to-back champs.
There we go. And John?
Yeah, I got to rant for a minute. Sorry, not trying to
go for it. Go for it.
Your podcast here. So I mentioned earlier, I had a thought, Kevin not winning National Manager of the Year. My understanding is that the individual who won it assembled some kind of like a super team from existing well-known wiffle ball players in his league. I think that the job that Kevin's done is significantly more impressive than that, because he's gone out and found a known quantity in Brett, but we've also built from within and found homegrown stars to play, and had a lot of contributors from guys who have been around for 5 years with the Expos, in addition to bringing in that all-star talent from the outside. So little bitter here. I felt like he got jaded in that, or it felt like he got snubbed, in that. Second is, have you put our names on the trophy yet, Sam?
So that'll be a like opening ceremonies. You guys you'll do that. So we'll have that going on during the weekend. You guys will be able to have that, take a picture.
You haven't made, do the individual names of the players go on is it just the team?
It's the individual names as well. Yes.
I feel very, very, very strongly about this. I think that Matt Egerstrom's name needs to be on that plaque. Despite the fact that he wasn't around last year, he's been such a key part of this team for the last 5 years. And like, case in point, the very first thing we did before we even walked off the field with the trophy was we FaceTimed him into the celebration, because, it was a shame that he couldn't be there. And he wasn't there in person and didn't play in an inning and didn't make an out or hit a home run. All of things that he would have done had he been there. But he's such a key part of this team. So I'm lobbying hard. When you make the names, I absolutely think you have to include Matt Egerstrom on that.
All right. Definitely. We can probably definitely do that for Matt and your guys' franchise for sure. And, I know Matt's been a big part of it in the past, and unfortunately wasn't able to be there. I was just telling Kevin before we started too, is, Kevin Poley the year before, he wasn't at the championship game for the Yankees. Obviously he played in the regular season for all the games, but, a little bit different of a scenario, but obviously, still Matt Egerstrom, still a big part for your team as well. As far as Brendan from the MLW winning the national, the manager of the year, him and Kevin were very similar this year. Brendan actually, he drafted both of his players to form his team. So they were both rookies, but these rookies were amazing. Both of them that were guys. So you're right. They're two players that, had amazing pitching performances, amazing hitting performances for that MLW squad. As the Gators, but both of them definitely deserved, and all 4 of the nominees for the National Wiffle Manager of the Year were definitely deserving. So Kevin, is just an honor to be up there, and for the first time ever, an SWBL has a Manager of the Year award. So you're the first one. So take honor in that for sure. But guys, thank you so much again for joining us. The SWBL Expos, it's going to be an amazing ride to see what you guys do in your sophomore season after a championship. So the Glendale Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram division, we are so excited to see how that plays out. John, Kevin, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Sam.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.